unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the headquarters, the unapologetic, everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, you know, folks, there's a reason why we've been cataloging this the way that we have. There's a reason why the national dialogue has begun to change here, and that is because we don't just catch you up to what is happening, we put you ahead of the curve. If you'll remember here last week, I was showing you here that last week, the times they are changing. Last week, you got California, which actually had come after Utah. And next up, North Las Vegas. They want to make illegal aliens, well, non-citizens at least, they want to make them police officers. They want to deputize them. So just for all the folk out there who were saying, well, you know, the non-black population, white population's numbers are dropping. Their numbers are going down. So don't worry. It's a fait accompli at this point. Their numbers are going down. So it's smooth sailing from here on in. As if black people's numbers are skyrocketing. But it's going to be smooth sailing from here on in. Well, lo and behold, these other folks said, we got the lemon twist we're going to put in here. So now we've got an issue with, if you will, unforced busing. With black people, it was forced busing today. I suppose we could call it unforced busing. Driving, folks, driving. Have you ever seen getting behind the wheel cause this much damn drama? Chicago, one of the, if not the most racially polarized cities in America. I've been there. I'm born and raised in Louisiana, and I gotta tell you, Chicago is one of the only places I've ever seen, and definitely the biggest, where one side of the street is one racial group and literally the other side of the street is another. There's literally streets that separate races of folk. Well, everybody's favorite drunk uncle, Lori Lightfoot, hard at work on her way out the door to make sure that she does as much damage here as possible. Her masters have called her up and said, look here, you about to get tossed out on your bony ass, but before you do, before you hit the E and J and the Hennessy, before you do that, you need to take care of this business over here that we need you to take care of here. Fox 32 has the story.
And good Thursday afternoon. I'm Anthony Ponce.
And I'm Natalie Bumke. And we start with move-in day for local migrants. It's happening right now in an old Chicago public school building.
Wow. Did you hear how glib that was? Hello, welcome to Fox 32. We start with moving day. Did you hear how glib that was? You heard how facetious she was being there? It's moving day. Really? Now, I bet you if it was a bunch of Negroes moving into her neighborhood, it wouldn't be it's moving day. It's people have questions, worries, and concerns. So, yeah, they letting you know that, they ain't moving them on our side of town.
And I'm Natalie Bumke, and we start with move-in day for local migrants. It's happening right now in an old Chicago public school building.
Let's get straight to Nate Rogers, who is live for us on the south side this afternoon. Nate?
Yeah, guys, that's right. In fact, Chicago police, as you can see right behind me, they've been here monitoring the scene after a small group of protesters tried to block migrants from moving in earlier today. Migrants apparently from Venezuela will be temporarily housed here at the former Wadsworth Elementary School. So far,
okay, I got questions here. The former Wadsworth Elementary Schools, does that building still have electricity? Is that building still a viable structure? If it is, why is it not being used for, I don't know, a school? Chicago has, crazy prices of housing there as well. So you're going to jump forward and convert it into housing for non-citizens. Let me get that straight. You can mobilize instantly to transform this school into housing for non-citizens. Another thing for all the boneheads out there who are talking about, well, you see, we got to have a law and a plebiscite and a gathering and a committee and a commission and a vote and a mail-in ballot and the menu with Baskin Robbins before we can do something. This didn't require any legislation. What we have told you from the very beginning to anybody who tries to argue against us getting reparations and cutting the check, this didn't require a study, a commission, a committee. They didn't allow a vote. They didn't have to do any of that. All the things that they tell us need to be done. Because, by the way, do you realize this is just one micro gesture here? You could have done 1,000 micro gestures like this for black folk. This is a fully funded project. Hey, we're going to take this building and reopen it. No. Not for you niggas who live here. No. Not for you. You see, there's no money in the budget to turn this into, for example, a private black school. There's no money in the budget for that. There's no money. We don't have money to go off on extravagant projects like turning this into a private black school. No. We can't do that. Illegals show up. We're sending the school over here. Yeah. Oh, wired up for electricity, plumbing. Yeah, everything's fine. Yeah, we got it going. Oh, no vote, no committee, no anything. No. The money's there. Oh, don't worry. We have an extra fund that we can use to go ahead and get that set up. Now, when you show up, there's no money, there's no resources, there's no capital, there's no budget when you show up. Just understand, if you say the same thing tomorrow, they're going to start pleading poverty. So understand, this is not just a few out of control politicians, or activists. This is government policy. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. This is official government policy at work.
Try to block migrants from moving in. Earlier today, migrants apparently from Venezuela will be temporarily housed here at the former Wadsworth Elementary School. So far, we've seen at least 3 busloads of people carrying bikes, laundry baskets, and duffel bags into the building since this morning. Now, this comes as more than 5,000 immigrants have been bused to Chicago since last year. Over the last several weeks, Woodlawn residents have expressed concerns about the move. 20th Ward Alderman Jeanette Taylor saying, although we're a sanctuary city, the neighborhood is already grappling with high crime, gentrification, and significant homelessness. Taylor says she's been blindsided by the mayor's office on specific plans, and residents in this ward have many questions.
We are a sanctuary city. Who's the we who voted that Chicago would be a sanctuary city? Who's the we that voted and declared that?
And residents in this ward have many questions. How many migrants is it at Wadsworth? They've moved in this morning?
You would have to ask the mayor and the commissioner at DFSS, because I haven't gotten any of that information. The 5th floor, Mayor Lori Lightfoot nor her team are coordinating with me. I've had a couple of meetings with them where she wasn't at the meeting. It was our commissioner, and nobody really gives us answers. So we've had 3 community meetings that I've had to push them on, and in those meetings, we don't get the answers. So we don't know what their day look like. We don't know what's the safety plan. We don't know if they don't come back what happened. None of that has been told to myself nor the community. So you can see how frustrating this is.
Yeah, you see, this is long-term thinking, and this is a long-term plan. They're not telling you anything. They're just dropping people off there. People with a history of animosity towards black folk, and they're dropping them in the black neighborhood. Now, you notice they're not taking them all up on the north side. They're not taking them all up there to Lincoln Yards. Gotta read Chicago's Mail right quick. They're not taking them up to the north side. They're not taking them on Lakeshore. They're not taking them up to Lincoln Yards. They're not doing that. Chicago, stand up. Lincoln Park, they ain't doing that. I love the albums, but yeah, they ain't taking them to Lincoln Park. They're not taking them there. So just notice that everybody knew where this was going to go. Well, we can grab them and drop them off on the south side and the west side. We're going to go ahead and do that. But they're not taking them to the white folks' neighborhoods. They're not dropping them off there. Now, understand something. Don't y'all know you're going to start hearing about more shootings in black neighborhoods now in places where it wasn't happening before? In places where it wasn't happening before. Think about that now. This is not accidental. Every time they sit up here and start dropping these folks off, we've been experiencing this for decades. I'm from Louisiana. When you see them come up with these excuses after the wars, remember, after the Vietnam War, they started dropping a whole bunch of Vietnamese off in New Orleans, Louisiana. Now, the rationale was that they come from a seafood culture over there. They come from a fisherman culture over there. So that would be dropping them off in New Orleans. That would be an area that they could use their skills that they already had, and they wouldn't require a bunch of government assistance. But understand, that's just game. You always drop them when it's time to drop these folks off in masses. They always look for the black neighborhoods to go drop them off in, to the point that you then have a Asian city council person in New Orleans talking about everything don't need to be a fried chicken shack in the black neighborhoods. So just understand, this has always been the way they've done that. There's always an excuse for bringing illegals here in non-black illegals here in very large numbers. Post-slavery, Reconstruction, Civil Rights Act of the 60s. Every time that happens, there's this big movement to say, okay, gotta bring in more illegals though. Gotta have more immigrants. Every time you turn around, you see that. Black folk in Chicago are being, that's why I made my film, Gentrified. Black people are being removed from Chicago. I wasn't playing for what I was saying. I wasn't playing with what I was saying about that. This has been a decades-long campaign over and over and over and over again. And we're being targeted for extermination. So in places where we have set up strongholds, they like, yeah, we're going to flood the zone. Yeah, who cares if it's not legal? We're white and we say so. And don't worry, we're going to put a so-called black mayor there to preside over your removal.
We don't know if they don't come back what happened. None of that has been told to myself nor the community. So you can see how frustrating this is.
And just within the last 10 minutes, we received word from a spokesperson from the mayor's office who tells us 100 men and women will be temporarily housed here at the former Wadsworth Elementary School. He told us these individuals are actually coming from other shelters because of capacity levels. The city spokesperson also telling us that this location will, in addition, house those in Chicago that are experiencing homelessness as well. Alderman.
Did you all hear that? I want you to listen to this one more time.
Coming from other shelters will be temporarily housed here at the former Wadsworth Elementary School. He told us these individuals are actually coming from other shelters because of capacity levels. The city spokesperson also telling us that this location will, in addition, house those in Chicago that are experiencing homelessness as well. Alderwoman.
Okay, so do you hear what they just said there? They just said that what he said is they're telling them, oh, we're converting this elementary school into a general purpose homeless shelter. There was no vote. There were no hearings, no community feedback, no nothing. Did you catch what he said there? It's not just we bringing in 100 illegals. We're also going to bring in a bunch of other homeless folk from other areas and concentrate them here. People, ghettos are not born. They are built. Ghettos are built. So when we describe these as concentrations of poverty, concentrated nucleuses and pockets of nuclei and pockets of poverty, that's engineered. That's engineered. So it doesn't matter what the surrounding neighborhood is doing, they're flooding the zone. They're like, oh, no. We're going to just make sure it's overwhelming. Now, you know, they're not looking for a school on the white side of town to go do this in. Certainly, there are other structures that they can use on the white folk side of town, but they ain't trying to do that. Around Soldiers Field, we ain't trying to do that. They are targeting black neighborhoods. And you heard what he just said. Oh, this isn't, the illegals we're bringing are just the beginning. We told you that we were bringing just the illegals from Venezuela here, but we've thought it over. Hell, we can just turn this into homeless central. If you'll all remember, Chicago is the home of them black sites, not set up by the federal government, but set up by the Chicago Police Department. They got black sites all over the city where folks are being arrested and being taken to by the police. Black sites all over the city. So you've got an entire shadow government that is operating here and saying, yeah, we're going to take this school over here. We're going to turn this into a homeless shelter. We're going to bring as many vagrants as possible into that area. We're going to bring as many vagrants, homeless, mentally and emotionally disturbed. Check it out now. Mentally and emotionally disturbed. We're going to bring everything here. No, there will not be a forum, a hearing, a vote, because then y'all might say something like put it on the white folks side of town. We ain't going to have that. Oh, no. You just going to get this. You just going to get this as is. As is. So we are going to, black folk are not doing badly enough. We're going to redistribute where these folks are going to be. We're going to redistribute them and pile them up in big numbers where black folk are. Next up, you're going to hear them talking about driver's licenses, residency, and the ability to vote. And even if they don't grant the ability to vote to the first group of illegals that show up, just understand the next generation, because white supremacy thinks long term, the next generation are going to be DACA citizens. They want to give them DACA residency. So even if you are able to keep the current generation from becoming legalized citizens, they're going to push for it for the next generation. So that's okay. We can kick this can down the road for 20 years. No problem. We can kick it down the road for 20 years. No problem. And then the next generation, they come up and we DACA. We DACA. Not accidental. Not accidental. In the chat room, do not ask dumb questions. You already know what to do. If you don't, you are too slow to be here. You already know what to do. If you don't, you're too slow to be here. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. If you have to ask, what do we do? You're in the wrong place. If you even have to ask that. This is not the Roland Martin show. In Chicago, that's one place that's happening. In Chicago, that's one place. But there are others. The government's buffer class bum rush has kicked into high gear. Is kicked into high gear. This coming from Minnesota Public Radio. Minnesota House, the House of Representatives of Minnesota, passes driver's license bill. That's what the headline says, is passes driver's license bill. These people are just so damn duplicitous and deceitful. Because when you actually read the article, you find out what they're saying. The very first paragraph, the Minnesota House of Representatives on Monday passed a bill to allow people in the country without authorization, the word is illegal, to apply for Minnesota driver's licenses and state IDs. Now listen to the next 3 paragraphs I'm going to read here. Listen to it and pay careful attention. On a 69-60 vote, the House approved the measure, which is also working its way through committees in the Minnesota Senate. Applicants would have to pass a knowledge and behind-the-wheel test to be eligible for a license. Minnesotans were able to obtain a driver's license no matter their immigration status prior to 2003, as long as they completed the tests. But former Governor Tim Pawlenty at that time prohibited those in the country illegally from obtaining licenses. His administration at the time raised concerns about security following the September 11th attacks. In the 20 years since that policy took effect, immigrants, faith leaders, and business groups have pressed lawmakers to change the rule back to what it was before 2003. But the measure came up short under several prior compositions of the legislature. So did you get that? Before 2003, that was the law up there. And there's something in particular to remind you all about. You see, you got to understand that when black folks are in tightly controlled and confined situations, you actually start to notice that the laws become more lax. Did you get that? You actually start just figuring out and realizing that the laws become more lax. Things don't become so hard on you when they actually, when black folk are in compromised positions. Case in point, if you're in a state that doesn't have a large black population, all of a sudden you notice the speed limit can be very high, and in some places there's no speed limit at all. 2003, remember, you're coming out of the prison industrial complex years under the Clinton administration. So 3 strikes, the prison industrial complex years, and don't worry, illegals are plenty. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You get into the early 2000s, then you start getting towards the Obama years. Black folk are making moves. They're demanding things. We're talking differently. Al Gore didn't win the presidency in 2000. Next thing you know, they want to start getting more serious. So what you notice is that when black folks seem to be in a compromised position, the laws get more lax. When black folk start empowering themselves, the laws get more stringent. I say this because there is, as you all should know, historical precedent for that, which actually dovetails off of what we're talking about here tonight. For those of you who remember the Black Panthers, Ronald Reagan was elected governor of California in 1966. The Black Panthers show up at the State House in 1967. Next thing you know, the NRA and Ronald Reagan all of a sudden are against the Second Amendment. All of a sudden, the NRA and Ronald Reagan, the so-called sweetheart of the conservatives and right-wingers, let Rush Limbaugh and Fox News tell the tale, Ronald Reagan, all of a sudden, was no longer in favor of the Second Amendment. And the NRA, of all people, all of a sudden, no longer in favor of the Second Amendment. Black folk get empowered. Oh, lock them rules down. And oh, yeah. Another thing about Ronald Reagan. Who was it? Who was it who passed that first mass amnesty act back in 1986? Who was the president of the United States who passed the Immigration Reform Act of 1986? What was his name? Oh, yeah, Ronald Reagan. Well, I'll be damned. Well, two issues that the right-wingers and the Fox News crowd tell you Ronald Reagan was the conservatives' conservative. If only we could get back to Reaganomics and get back to Reagan conservatism. Reagan conservatism was against the Second Amendment when black folk wanted to empower themselves. And coming out of the 1970s, Reagan immigration was in favor of illegals everywhere if it helped to neutralize black people. That was Reagan conservatism. So I'm giving you all a historical perspective on this. When black folk are empowering themselves, here they clamp down with laws. When black folks seem safely under control or a non-issue somewhere, the laws get lax. Everything from illegals to the speed limit to doing weed and drugs, the laws get lax. In the Northeast, black people are not the same force they are everywhere else. Where was the first place in America that started making hard drugs, shooting up hard drugs legal? The Northeast, with a negligible black population. The Northeast, the New England states, with a negligible black population. They went straight past weed up there, remember? They went straight to shooting up. We got safe sites. Hell, the police will stand guard while the white folk are doing it. Now, black folk, you got cuffs on you. You got cuffs on you. But the white folk here, those rules are a little too stiff, a little too harsh. So I'm giving you a historical perspective on this so that you can understand exactly how long this has been going on, and the history is repeating itself because this is the white supremacist playbook. When you get empowered, flood the zone with illegals, lock down the laws, crack down on everything, black sites, suspension of rights, empower and deputize vigilantes. When black folk get empowered, the gloves come off and all of a sudden we start locking everything down. Once black people have been disempowered, all of a sudden now you get lax with the laws. Case in point, California. When black folk were on the rise, and a social force to be reckoned with, you had a prison state. As soon as the prison industrial complex was fully in place and they done locked down everybody in California and they were passing out time and life sentences like Halloween candy, next thing you know, legalize weed. Now you can legalize weed. It's not accidental. It's not accidental. It's not accidental. So I'm giving you a perspective on this, that this strategy of the buffer class bum rush and exactly how this particular tool in the toolbox of white supremacy is used. There's historical precedent for this over and over and over again. So that's why I'm taking you from post-chattel slavery. Here come the Irish and the Italians. Next up is going to be the civil rights years. Here they start loosening immigration again every time that they do something involving black folk. An immigration change ain't far behind. Every time they talk about doing something for black folk, a change in immigration isn't far behind. Now, they're no longer even waiting for laws. They're saying, oh, it's taking too damn long to get laws through. We can't wait on laws to get through. Just bring them on over here. I mean, take a look at them, boy. I mean, they bold with it. And these are your tax dollars at work. These are your tax dollars at work. Very interesting. By the way, you see they put them on the bus there. It says priority seats. Do you see that? Priority seats. Take a look at that clean footwear. Priority seats. Folks, it can't be more blatant. It can't be more blatant. It can't be more blatant. If you agree that this is part of government policy, that the buffer class bum rush is government policy, give me a thumbs up emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. We got over 3,500 people in here. And less than half the folk up here have hit the likes button. So I'm assuming it must be a lot of illegals from South America in the audience tonight here, and they don't like what they're hearing. I'm going to only assume that's the case. But by the way, 3,600 people watching this program live right now. What's going on? Give me the thumbs up and hit the likes button. There's a reason why these discussions didn't take place before now. You didn't have Al Sharpton and the old black media, and that includes Rolling Ball Martin. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Roland Martin is telling us that we need more illegals. Oh, yeah. Roland Martin said we need more illegals. Now I remember. Roland said that black folk need more illegals. We need to be the champions of illegals. Never mind the fact that they're not pushing anything for us. No, that's what we need. We're supposed to get that. We're supposed to have that. I told you all before, they're not waiting for an election. They're not waiting for an election. They're not waiting for one at all. Not at all. They're saying, what can we do to get this thing in place? What can we do to lock this down? And we ain't waiting on a damn thing. Wherever black folk are, drop them off. Wherever black people are, that's the place where we're going to. And now they've gotten, completely authoritarian and totalitarian with it now. They're just saying, yeah, we're going to grab the extra schools, any place we can park them at, as long as it's in a black area. We ain't going to shove them off in a white neighborhood so that you've got some permanent installation of poverty sitting right there. We ain't going to put it in the white neighborhoods. We're going to put it in very close proximity where black folk are. So these folks coming from across the border, no background check, no criminal check. No background check, no criminal check. So next thing you know, you're going to be hearing about catalytic converter thefts are on the rise. Catalytic converter thefts, break-ins, shootings. You're going to hear about that in black neighborhoods. You're going to hear about that with them reporting that, oh, those are black neighborhoods, but we couldn't arrest the assailants. We were unable to identify or arrest the assailants. Couldn't find them. That's what they're going to be telling us next. That's what they'll be saying next. So I'm putting this in its proper context for you all because I want you to understand that we started off last week talking about this. We started off last week putting this in its proper perspective and letting you know that they're not even waiting for legislation. Last week, we were talking about legislation. In Chicago, they're like, yeah, we don't need no legislation for this. We don't need no legislation for this. We going straight for the jugular. We're going to go ahead and flood the zone now. And by the way, they're doing it under drunk Uncle Lightfoot because they know she's a lame duck or a dead duck. They're doing it under drunk Uncle Lightfoot so she can get kicked out of office. She'll be the scapegoat for everything, and then you'll be pointing at her. Meanwhile, they'll have a new person enacting the policy and continuing to execute the policy afterward. They'll just have you pointing backwards at drunk Uncle Lightfoot. And you'll say, well, we got her out of there. And it'll be like Kim Fox. You got rid of the demons, now you got the devil. You got rid of the demons, now you got the devil. However, you might feel differently about it. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in America, the only one of its kind in the cosmos. You are, of course, as always, welcome to join us. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody, who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. Big shout out here to Cult Like Personality. Thank you very much for your support. Big shout out to Third Eye Open. So Venezuela has a history of black genocide. These people here, they didn't choose them out of nowhere. Third Eye knows it. They didn't choose none of these folks out of nowhere. They're choosing specifically people who are hostile to black folk and then dropping them off in black neighborhoods. Let me ask y'all something. In Chicago, why aren't they dropping them off in Mexican Town over there? This is a really simple question here. Why aren't they dropping them off on the Latino side of town where they can be among folk who speak their language? Many of them come from where they're coming from. Why are they dropping them off where black folk are? Why aren't they dropping them off in Mexican Town over there? Why aren't they doing that? Why aren't they dropping them off where the Latinos are? Why are they not doing that? Why are they dropping them off in a totally alien territory where it's a bunch of black folk out? Why are you targeting that one? You know why they're targeting. You know why they're doing that. You know why. It's not accidental. It would make total sense. It would make total sense if they did that. But that wouldn't execute the agenda. That wouldn't accomplish the agenda. That wouldn't accomplish it. The goal is to displace the black population. It has always been that goal. Always. And they're letting you know now, we ain't waiting for an election. We're not waiting for an election to kick this off. We're going straight for it now. We're not waiting for an election. We're going to get to doing it now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be taking your phone calls. This is the Black Channel.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm a foundational black American, and I entered the field of IT with the goal of helping the family globally. The industry's been changing, and I've learned a lot. But how did we get here? How do we navigate issues we face in the workplace? How can we get our house in order? Read The Concept and Intricacies of Being Black in IT, now on Amazon, as well as the best-selling Guide to Being Black in IT. Go to beingblackinit.com.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Natural Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Life Recruiting and Consulting specializes in direct placement. If your company is looking to hire top talent, or you are looking to start a new career, our network of professional recruiters can help. We provide recruiting, LinkedIn lead generation, access to our professional network, paid job postings, interviewing, and more. Check out our specialized services: information technology recruiting, STEM career consulting, sales recruiting, hiring process consulting for your business, resume writing, LinkedIn profile consultation. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn and get higher with us.
P23 Labs can help you find your flow. Revolutionizing healthcare to self-care. P23, making a healthier
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. Big shout out here to Mr. Cocaine, my girl Brenda Starr, Mark B., Ryan, and Tom Slick. Thank you very much for contributing to support tonight's program. And thank you to everyone who's contributed to the program on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. For those of you on the Super Chat, thank you very much for your support. A brief reminder, I'm not really a stickler about how you contribute, but please keep in mind, YouTube and Google keep 1/3 of every dollar that you send over Super Chat. So thank you very much for contributing tonight. But if you gave $100 in the Super Chat, YouTube is actually going to keep $33 of that. So if you don't want to sit up here and pay the Google tax, please consider using PayPal or Cash App instead there, and we can avoid the Google tax. But in any case, thank you very much for your support. The telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Black Channel. We're going to go ahead and go to the phone lines here. So please make sure that you're alert and ready. Let me get caller from area code 860. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 860 has been abducted. Caller from area code 708, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
TBA, is James from Chicago.
James from Chicago. South side, west side?
South side, Inglewood.
All right, what's on your mind?
I wanted to piggyback off of what you said when you were talking about the Cadillac converters and a lot of them breaking into cars and stealing stuff, because that's been happening over the last couple years, especially recently. I've had several family members of mine, they've had their cars broken into and then parts of their vehicles stolen. And what happens is, the cops don't do anything about it. And the neighborhood low-key knows that it's the Hispanics and the illegals doing it, because they have to go to them to buy it. They have a whole bunch of these almost brand new car parts. Everybody from Chicago knows to pretty much buy car parts, you go over to the Hispanic side of the neighborhoods, because they break into people's cars and they steal it from them, or they steal the cars, they tear everything out the cars, and they just leave the cars on the side of the road. And a lot of these Hispanics come over to Chicago, they're selling drugs, they're doing crimes. The Latin gangs, people talk about the BDs and the GDs, but nobody talks about the Latin gangs. They're coming over here, they're raising the crime rate. And then when you see Fox News talk about Chicago and the crime and 30 people getting shot, they imply that all of that is black people, just black people doing it. But a lot of that is the Latinos and the illegals coming over to the black sides doing that stuff.
Well, you're absolutely right, especially about the catalytic converter thing. You remember I did a program here a few weeks ago talking about that, how it was a bunch of white folk, California, Asians and white folk in Oklahoma City, I think it was, dealing with this, I think, Indian dude or whatever he was up in New Jersey. Wasn't no black folk in the pipeline of the money coming down. There might have been some, off-brand renegades out there freelancing, grabbing some catalytic converters, but the people financing it, the big money people, this guy had a big, huge, multi-million-dollar house. The folk driving the money ain't black folk. These people know who it is. These people know who it is. I was watching, there was a documentary I was watching about Nazi Germany, and they were talking about one of the Nazis, I want to say Barbie. His name was Barbie. He was a Nazi officer. He had fled Germany. He went down to Venezuela, and he was bouncing back and forth from Venezuela and Peru. And they were talking about how, he had been brought over and stuff. And I want to say it was Barbie. And it turns out, the government had brought him over because he had been useful. He had information. But then they were like, oh, well, the heat's on, so let's go ahead and send him to South America. And I want to say the reporter said that they plugged into the underground network of Nazis in South America. And I'm like, said the U.S. government, they plugged into the network, the underground network of Nazis hiding out in South America. And that's where they sent him. He didn't flee to South America. The U.S. government sent him to South America. So what does that tell you? That tells you the government's involved. The government runs. The government knows where everybody is. They know where the so-called criminals are. They know where the so-called ne'er-do-wells are. They know where the operators are. They know who's pushing these things. They could shut it down in a day if they wanted to. But if it's up and running, it's up and running for a reason. Chaos is not a side effect. Chaos is the goal. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Charles from the south side of Chicago, Jason.
Okay,
this Alan just giving you a call. And
right. Alan, what's on your mind?
You're absolutely right. They bring it. What's on my mind, brother? You're absolutely right. They're not putting them in like Beverly. They're not sending them in Beverly or Mount Greenwood or heavily populated white community. They're not sending them over there. They're not sending them over there in Kenwood, a heavily populated Jewish community. They putting them all in our community. They haven't seen none on the west side because I'm originally from the west side of Chicago, K-Town. So just to tell you that, it's going to be a lot of. They put them in there. They brought them here so we can battle with each other. I understood what you were talking about, so we can go against each other. So we got to carry our steel. So there's going to be some shit going on, bro.
Well, it's a long-term plan. The short-term impact is uptick in crime and things like that. Long-term impact is taking the children and installing them in the socioeconomic system and then telling you, oh, we don't have resources for you. We got to take care of all these illegal kids. We got to do that. That's what the end game is there. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. And see, what they try to do is get black folk distracted with other side issues and things. This is why we got to stay steadily on our square of black empowerment. We have to stay steadily on the square of that. They going to come to us and try to tell us it's about LGBT and all this stuff. Understand, well, Jason, why are they cranking up the volume now? It's because they understand at this point, they don't have a reliable black population anymore that will just reliably, blindly just vote for anything. They don't have that anymore. So since you don't have that anymore, now they're trying to flood the zone as much as they can because they can't count on us the way they used to. They know full damn well sitting in Roland Martin, that's a damn joke. You're not going to move any weight there. So if we can't rely on black people to get the job done for us here, we better go ahead and flood the zone now. Joe Biden, old-time segregationist, if he's behind this, then that tells you who he's going after. That tells you what this is for. Call from area code 310. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason.
Okay, try again. Your phone's breaking up on you.
TG out of Los Angeles.
Okay, TG out of Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Well, I got two things, and I'll hit them real quick. One, Hispanic people repatriate 20 to 30% of their income. So economically, it doesn't even make sense from the start. Second, if they're not checking who these people are, if I'm the cartels, I'm sending my people in heavy, setting up distribution networks. So they're jeopardizing the safety of the country and the economy just to get them in. Don't make sense.
Well, I mean, no, it's not. Understand, big business is behind this. Some of the biggest proponents of illegals are multi-billionaires. Bill Gates, Michael Bloomberg. We can go down the list. Jeff Bezos. Anybody who's worked at any of Amazon's fulfillment centers knows that the turnover rate at those fulfillment centers is insane. It's insane. Jeff Bezos doesn't give a damn where the folks who work at those centers come from. Hell, you got a bunch of illegals working in those places in California now. So he doesn't care where the slave wage labor comes from. Just give him a steady supply of it, and so he can make sure that he doesn't have to keep them there. That's his number one goal. Make sure we have a steady supply so he doesn't have to keep them there, have turnover. They never stay long enough to get any real benefits, much less a raise. And let's flip people over every year or two. And that's the business model of the Amazon fulfillment centers. So you've got the biggest corporations on the planet who are pro-illegal alien. So as far as they're concerned, this is very much good for their bottom line. Very much good. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. No, they are not. It's not bad for their economy. This is right up their economy's alley. Caller from area code 678. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace and blessings. Jason was good. It's the B1's top goon, James from Plainfield, New Jersey.
All right,
shout
James.
out to you, Jason. Shout out to the B1 family.
What's on your mind, brother?
Shout out to the whole FBA family. All right. I live in New Jersey. New Jersey, at one point, it had a lot of predominantly black cities. It wasn't just Newark and Trenton. It was basically from northern Jersey to central Jersey to South Jersey. But now it seems like all that's starting to change because, you think there's a lot of illegal immigrants flooding to Texas and California, and there's a lot of illegal immigrants flooding straight to New Jersey and New York. The Dominicans, they like the main ones. And yeah, Mexicans too. But the Dominicans and Mexicans, they the main one. Like Perth Amboy, New Jersey is a prime example. I heard, based on my research and based from the old heads in the street that was telling me, they said at one point Perth Amboy was a predominantly black city. And, that was where a lot of slave trade was happening, like way before we all was born.
Well, you got to remember in that New York area in particular there. In New York, Marcus Garvey had thousands of black folk in the streets. After him, Malcolm X had thousands of black folk in the streets. Everybody talks about Lincoln Rockwell and J. Edgar Hoover. But the reality is New York City was absolutely no different. They were absolutely no different. So when you see that many black people galvanized and mobilized in one area, you better get to work breaking that up. And you can't really take to the streets with them because by the 60s, black folk was with the business. Black folk were like, yeah, this political process isn't working for us anyway. Let's take it to the street. And that changed everything. So they understood taking it to the street, we don't really want that kind of action. So we better put into place a plan where you slowly strangle black folk and they wither on the vine. And key to that has been flooding the zone with buffer classes of hostile entities for the express purposes of displacing and replacing black folk where we are. And now they're flooding the zone under just Biden's administration. Just in the last 2 years under Biden, there have literally been millions of illegals allowed into the country this time. Not hundreds of thousands, millions. By some estimates, as many as 2 to 7. It could be as many as 7 million. That's not somebody guessing their way through this. That's an agenda. And the agenda is we need to destabilize this Negro population by all means necessary, airdrop these people in everywhere, flood the zone, clog it up, and make sure that any attempt to try to stabilize themselves is a fait accompli. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 626. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Mr. Wilson calling from Champaign.
All right, Mr. Wilson.
Illinois.
Champaign, Illinois. What's on your mind?
Mr. Black, I'm going to bring up 3 things that you brought up recently. You brought up the point of Chuck Schumer saying, well, yeah, we need to get these 11 million or whatever number illegals into this country as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, and become citizens. That was their first warning call. Then secondly, last week you just did the thing with, oh, okay, so here now. You're not a citizen of the country, but we're going to give you the right to have the highest authority in the land, which is the ability to be able to kill behind a badge. And now they're pushing the third one by pushing everyone into our communities. I'm telling you, the thing that should be happening, remember, Chuck Schumer is a Democrat. These are Democratic areas. It's time, and I'm not saying to go Republican. I'm just saying that we need to be doing something different because what we have is not working well. And not only is it not working well, it's literally destroying us. And most people are sitting here and they're oblivious to it, or they're like, well, it's not a big deal. They're going to find out how big a deal is when these people start uniting and going, oh, yeah, you know what? You rent your place, right? Let me see who the owner is. And then they start kicking you out. And then you go, well, this has been my home. This isn't your home anymore. They bought it out from under you. So we need to be able to start looking and start being selective and start getting to these politicians. Talk to your city council. Talk to your representatives. Talk to your senators and say, look, damn it, if you're not going to do something that's going to benefit us as a people, you're not getting my vote again.
Well,
That's
you know,
how we have to start working.
I've always said this, and I've been saying this forever here, you know. Folk were asking me about this before, about, you know, what was going on. And I was telling people, you know, we've been on this summers and winters. We've been doing this now going on 15 years here. So back before folk were talking about it, and I don't really know what it was necessarily exactly about Mike Brown that ignited what it did, because they had been out here killing us wholesale throughout Obama's administration before it. I don't know what it was about that particular one that set it off. But I do know that after that, folks started looking at the situation differently. And then once we get to Trayvon Martin, they're looking at it differently. So what I'm saying here is that I said this at the time when that happened. Okay, people are finally paying attention to it. But my concern is that once these particular trials or whatever are resolved, folk gonna go back to sleep again. So as sad as I am to say it, it's gonna require a steady drumbeat of these things. Because the moment you give black folk an opportunity to start slacking off and say, oh, well, the fight's over, let's go home, it's going to be back to twerking and everything else. So it's going to require a steady drumbeat. The bad news is there's been a steady drumbeat. The good news is there's been a steady drumbeat because now there's not an argument about it anymore. It's a shame that it took this. There was already plenty enough egregious behavior happening before, but it is taking a steady drumbeat where folk can't get away from it. Now they're parking them in your schools. They parking them in your neighborhood. They down the block. Now it's sitting in front of your house like the Ku Klux Klan burning the crosses, and you don't have the luxury of ignoring it anymore. Now you got folks concentrating and actually taking it seriously.
Absolutely. And look, can I even piggyback off of that? California, again, as the template for the rest of the country, think about it. Gavin Newsom had billions in surplus in the state, and then he said, oh, okay, well, here, I have a bunch of veterans and poor people living on the streets. Let me see, who can I give this money to? Oh, here, I'll give it to people who aren't even citizens of the country. They came over illegally, and they gave them U.S. tax dollars. That means all of those veterans, all of those people on the street who were put in, contributed to the pot. They said, oh, well, here, we're going to go ahead and give it to them. To me, that was outrageous. These are the things that are actually like, where is it that the Congressional Black Caucus, when our state, even the state of California, where are the black people there going, oh, wait, I have an issue with this. Where are they when they should be screaming, this isn't right? And again, even with the situation with the the Senate Bill 960, where are the black politicians? Where are the black police officers? Where are the black firefighters saying, guess what? This is wrong. Why in the hell are you doing it? We have people that would be ready to fill these yesterday. Where are they? They're not there. So this is why I'm saying it's like, yeah, we got to go definitely the way that you're going, but we have to also make sure that we are getting these people every which way. City council, state rep,
now, absolutely, you can
citizen.
do that, but you once you start taking it seriously. And up until now, it wasn't taken seriously in a large number. Now you got black folks in Chicago making the news saying, hey, this is the issue. I can't say better late than never, because the time to be on this was when we were saying it going on 15, 20 years ago. So at this point right now, let everybody be on notice. Chicago is coming to a city near you. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 347. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from area code 347 has been abducted. Caller from area code 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Melissa calling from Brooklyn, New York.
All right, Melissa from Brooklyn. What's on your mind?
With regards to all of this, I want to go back to 2020 when the George Floyd riots just happened. And there was not news reports, but a lot of black YouTubers from New York City, Chicago, Philly, they were talking about how a lot of Latin gang members were randomly attacking black people, especially in the Chicago area. So a lot of gang, it's like a signal went out for a lot of these Latino gang members to just like start attacking black people going to work and whatnot. And the mainstream media never reported anything about that. And another thing, my last point was that I read an article on the website, I forgot which website, but apparently there is some ex-military sneaking across with these migrants from their home countries. So that's something to kind of be concerned about, like ex-military.
Well, I mean, you know, you got gang members, you got cartel members, you have ex-military, you have ex-paramilitary. Hell, I can't even say ex anymore. You got paramilitary coming across there. So you're just letting folks over, and that's the whole point. Think about this for a few moments, you all. Who did they send to go kill a president? They got the mafia to take care of that. They got the mafia to knock off JFK. So the U.S. government has always known about outsourcing. Who they get to kill Dr. King? They didn't get a government assassin. You had a military person. So they can outsource those things. And when they get done with it, oh, he's a lone wolf. He's crazy. It's nothing to do with us. So next thing you know, you got paramilitaries coming across the border. They're going to get up here. They're going to get in touch with the connect or the contact who's going to tell them, okay, these are the neighborhoods we need y'all to go kick up dust in and get it started in. And then it just rolls from there. So it's not accidental. The government sending Nazis to South America and then bringing paramilitary from South America to America. The dots don't take very long to connect. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yeah, Jason, this is Bill or Genesis Reach. They're calling out of Chicago.
All right, Bill, what's on your mind?
Yeah, Jason, hey, I was just listening to the second caller when he was talking about running to your alderman or running to your representative. You know, all that stuff is just out the window, right? Now, the lady just said out of Woodlawn that the mayor, we call Beetlejuice, she said that the mayor didn't tell her anything. She didn't get a phone call. She didn't get no type of email. They just came over on some gangster shit. Basically, that's what she just said. She just said, like, look, we're going to move these people in. We don't care what you say. These people, the politics with the mayor or whoever she's in cahoots with, they not caring about what the people want or what they saying. These people saying, look, we're going to do what the hell we want to do. You can go run and tell your representative. You can go run and tell Jesus Christ. We going to do what the hell we want to do. So it just seems to me that, like, hey, look, what the people going to do? You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, they own some gangster shit. What are we going to do? Run into your representatives and run into these politicians and complaining to them about our woes and our sorrows and about, like, hey, look, we need this and we need that. Listen, only thing we ever got in this country was through violence. That is it. Controlled violence. That is it. These people, look, put down the books, put down the whatever. That's the only thing that these people understand. And I will end with that, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening, Jason. This is Daryl from Chicago.
All right, Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind, brother?
Jason, another excellent broadcast. You hit the nail right on the head about everything that's been said. In the areas where we're at in Chicago, especially over in Euclid Park, I live at 98th and Normal, right in that area. And before, I'll say, right 2 years before the Biden got in office, we had it wasn't hardly anybody moving in or out or anything like that. All of a sudden, they were trying to force people to sell their homes in the area, and all of a sudden you see the Mexicans fixing up some of the homes over there. Next thing you know, you have Hispanic in the area that was never over there before. Never in that area. And I think you probably driven in that area. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And this has been one of the things and now all of a sudden they're talking about taking over the park and tearing it down. Euclid Park been there since I was a little kid. Before I was born, Euclid Park been there. They just set up a petition recently, want to tear the park down. But we got behind that and forced them to stop doing that. But still, this is just one of the areas where, you talked about the crime right up the street on Halsted. On the other side of Halsted, there's crime over there. And
what the hell happened to you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps? What the hell ever happened to that?
That's right.
These folks are not citizens at all. They're bringing them into the black neighborhood and giving them free room and board at the school there. Nobody is telling them pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Nobody's saying any of that. Free room, board, electricity, water, hell, education for the kids if you got them. It's like, no, it's already built. All you do is walk on in, and we're going to try to set you up with a middle-class lifestyle. That is giving you, and that's not a handout. This is just leapfrogging at this point.
That's right. And in that area, Jason. I know you've driven in that area. And you seen those nice homes over there, and they got them trying to move them people out, praying that they old. If not, the taxes didn't jump like 3 different. Oh my gosh, I can't even talk about that. That's another talk show all by itself. And all of a sudden, you see them moving over there. They had nothing. These are immigrants. They don't have driver's license. They have nothing. And all of a sudden, they're moving in over there in that area. Man, that's like crazy. And that's a stronghold black area too, right over there, right in that area. Now, on the other side, of course, this over there, the Arabs have taken over on that, trying to take over there, but they get in a fight with that one, too, because them people ain't moving out. Them black folks ain't moving out over there. They fighting that. And then on the other side of that, the Hispanic trying to come over there. Black folks are moving over. They're there and they're fighting that, and they're not going out. So this is going to be a fight here. Like your brother said, it's going to be almost literally to the streets.
It's very simple when you understand that when you are all on the same page, you start producing answers. Brother Neely Fuller called it produce justice. I'm telling y'all what I've always told you. When everyone is on code and on the same page, at that point, things click. Because now it's not just every man for himself. You see, we can stomp you out easy when you operate under the idea it's every man for himself. When you are operating on the idea that we are all on the same page, we all recognize the same threat, and now we're all organized, which is the final step to it, that's when things change. Even with a so-called small number of people, things start to change. First in the neighborhood, what you got to understand is now that if you are property owners, that ain't enough. It is not enough to be property owners. Dr. Claude Anderson has always said that. If all you do is have a house, that's not a community, that's a neighborhood. Holiday Inn is a neighborhood. A community is a place where you have your economics, where you control the economics, where you control the politics, but it starts with the economics. So what these folks in Chicago are finding out is, this idea that you're going to be the worker class for some white companies, go buy you a house in Bronzeville or whatever, and then just go sit back and barbecue in your declining years. The white supremacist structure is letting you know, we got different ideas for that. Your your grandfather might have been able to do that, but you won't be able to do that. We got different ideas for you. So going forward, folks need to understand, owning a house, man, look here, that's not owning your economy. You can't just own a house. You've got to start owning the economy of the area. And when that kind of thing starts happening, just understand, take a look at Houston. You have a legitimate business, the Turkey Leg Hut. You have a legitimate business. They've been trying to do what they did to every other black business in that area and run them off and legislate them off and regulate them off and harass them off. They've been doing that for the longest damn time. If you have your economy straight where you are, ain't gonna be no school to house illegals at. But you're gonna have to start saying, you know what? The goal isn't to sit up here and buy me a 79 Cadillac and lounge. We got to have control of our economics. After you buy the house, it's not enough. You got to have legacy and control of the economics. And when you do that, now you start looking like Chinatown. Now you start looking like Little Russia. Because those folks over there, you cross the street from Walgreens. All you got to do is make it across that street from Walgreens, and you know where you at. They've got it locked down over there. Hell, you don't have the ability to do this. Now, you know that they got them housing projects where the Asians are back there by Chinatown. It's a whole Asian housing project. I'm talking about, it looked like anything of any black housing project you ever seen, except it's all Asians. So I'm sitting there looking at them okay, well, this is an interesting sight to see. I got it on video. I'm like, okay, never thought I'd see this, but here it is. Okay, but you know what they ain't doing? They ain't dropping a bunch of illegals over there. Now, they're not dropping them off over there. Plenty of low rent housing there, but nobody's dropping them off over there. Oh yeah, because them folks control the economy where they are. So the idea of black folks simply being residents and that's it, no, that day and age is dead and over. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get a caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is Philip from Beaufort, South Carolina.
All right, Beaufort, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I don't disagree with much of what you're saying.
Hold on, wait. Hold on just a moment here. We'll make sure I have everything here taken care of. This Beaufort from South Carolina. It's been a minute since you called in, Beaufort.
That's true.
Has everything been all right?
Everything's fine. I've been listening to you every week.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure here. Did you buy some new tap shoes?
No, but you're bringing something up, and I noticed that throughout all evening you've mentioned Ronald Reagan, who's been dead for 20 years, but you haven't said Trump one time, and he was the one who was trying to keep these people out of on the other side of the border, and so he's running for president again. And I'm just wondering if you're going to be voting for him this time around.
Okay, what is Trump offering to black people specifically?
Well, see, that's just it, because you're one of these one single issue.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, because that is the only issue that matters. Is what are you specifically going to do for us when it comes to Latinos, sir? That is the only issue that matters. Is what are you going to do specifically for us when it comes to gays? They want to know only one. They are single issue voters. What are you going to do for us? So yes, sir, we're not going to sit up here and play dumb or stupid. That's the only reason that you vote, is what is the politician going to do specifically for you and your group, sir? That's not a single issue. It is the only issue. Was this news to you?
I get it.
Was this news to you, Buford?
I get it, but we had a solution.
Okay, Buford, back up.
Tonight.
Back up, Buford. Last try. Was that news to you that that's the only issue you vote is for what they're going to do specifically for you? Was that news for you?
No, I wasn't voting on that, because that wasn't even. I mean, you had brought that up, and I hadn't started listening to you until after Trump had gotten elected, so it wasn't an issue for me.
Right, but I'm saying you didn't know. Okay, but you didn't know. You didn't know that what you call single issue. You didn't know that that single issue is the only reason why people should vote. That was news.
No, what I'm saying, what I just said is, I was not even listening to you in 2016. And so I saw what he was doing as benefiting black people, because I'm in South Carolina, and I'm seeing where black men are not being able to get in these construction jobs and in these other entry-level jobs, and they're being run out by legal immigrants. And now it's even gotten to where they're getting run out of the factories. And that was the issue for me, where that was concerned. I didn't really. I was not a,
Okay, Buford, this is Buford babble. This is Buford babble. The bottom line is, the only reason that any person votes is for direct benefits for themselves. You don't vote symbolically. Yeah, you don't vote calm yourself down. Calm yourself down, sir. The host is talking. Calm yourself down, Buford. The only reason that a person votes is for benefits for them and their group. There isn't any other justifiable reason. You don't vote for symbolic reasons. You don't vote for entertainment. You don't vote as a civic exercise. You vote because voting and politics are how we divide up the society's resources. So you're supposed to be voting to determine what slice of that you and yours are going to get. That's the entire purpose of politics. That's not a single issue. It is the only issue, because without that issue, there's no reason to vote, because anything you would be quote unquote voting for is irrelevant. It won't affect you one way or the other. We're saying if a politician wants us to vote for them, they must explain to us how they're going to positively affect us. We've given you the list of the things that we want. That's what will positively affect us. If you're not going to address this, there's no reason to vote. Now, voting's not the only way you change a society. It's one way that you change a society. But without that, there is no reason to vote. Now, who is the politician running for president who is running on a platform where he has specifically stated what he intends to do specifically for the descendants of American slaves? Who is?
That was not the issue. The issue was, in 2016, Trump was keeping these people on the other side of that border, and that was benefiting black people, and that's why I voted for him. Well, one of the reasons. But that was where I saw a benefit to us. Now they are in our backyards. They are eating us alive on these work sites. And you can't understand that. I don't know why. But that was that was a danger to us, and now we are suffering because of the fact that he's been kicked out of office.
Sir, I understand that better. I understand that better than you because I'm younger than you. Buford is Buford Babel. I understand it better than you, and you're not an authority on what affects us as black folk here. It does you no good to vote for somebody on one indirect issue. If somebody sits up here and says, well, they want to keep illegals out, and you talking about yay, and then they say, and I want to build more prisons. Wait a minute. Y'all got to understand, Buford Babel, it's not good enough to sit up here and say, well, take a look at one thing. You got to take a look at it holistically. A politician tells you he's going to do one thing. That's that Gavin Newsom stuff. That's what Gavin Newsom does. Oh, sure, we can talk about NCAA. Y'all remember when Gavin Newsom was talking about the name and rights issues for NCAA, and everybody was like, hey, this is going to change the NCAA, and ain't this great and everything? Y'all remember, I never took my boot off of Gavin Newsom's neck. I never took it off. I always called him what he is, a pervert, a deviant, a liar, a reprobate. I never took my boot off his neck. Never. Never. They talking about reparations in California. Absolutely. Full speed ahead. Never took my boot off of Gavin Newsom's neck. With Bruce's Beach. Y'all remember Bruce's Beach? I never took my boot off of Gavin Newsom's neck. Do you remember that? I never did. I never sat up here and took the boot off his neck. And sure enough, how did that break down? I didn't take my boot off his neck. How did that break down? It broke down exactly the way I've been saying the whole time. You can't take your eye off of them. Now you recognize the trick bag was in effect the whole time. So no, just because a politician talks good in one way, you got to make sure that they're not doing something else on the back end that's neutralizing whatever benefit they're doing. This is what Brother Neely Fuller has always told us. White supremacy takes both sides of an issue. White supremacy takes both sides of an issue. And that's what they do. So they sit up here and fool you into believing that. They sit up here and fool you. Well, we'll go ahead and tell you one thing on one side, and we'll see what we can do here. We'll see what we can do here. Well, you go ahead and take a look at that. Take a look at this one thing I'm saying I'm doing here, while they're sitting up here neutralizing it with other means. Sure, we can go ahead and give you reparations just so long as we do it for everybody. Just so long as we do it for everyone. Sure we can. We can go ahead and do that. So just recognize when you're being played. You have to be smart enough and sophisticated enough to understand that. Recognize when you're being played. Call from area code 504. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason, this is Corey calling from Nevada.
All right, Corey, what's on your mind?
So, Jason, since the Biden administration got into office, have you been keeping score of all the people that have been getting benefits from this administration currently? So,
basically the score is everybody except us. That's the score.
Exactly. So now they're hitting with dropping the immigrants off into our neighborhoods. So my question to you is this, is that if we are in a relationship with America currently, it's a bad relationship. I've been in a bad relationship before, and I had to get out the relationship. But unlike getting a relationship, I live in this country. So if the country that I live in, pay taxes in and keep the laws of the land, dropping illegal immigrants into the city, making it legal for them to get licensed, get jobs, what else can anybody that's black can do if the government is signing laws for everybody else except us. So when you look in the mirror, you're like, damn, this person got something. Ukraine got something. The Asians got something. And here, my black ass here, I ain't getting nothing but getting ran the hell off the land. And I'm like, look, man, listen. It's a bad relationship. We have to get out of the relationship. Now, I'm going to hang up, and I want you to answer that. It's a bad relationship. And, Jason, you, me, and all of us been in bad relationships. We had to leave the relationship.
Okay. Explain exactly how do you, quote, leave?
Well, this is it. We had to go to them and say, listen, man.
Go to who?
The same like a relation. Go to the government, the local government, not the federal government. Go to the local government and say, listen, I'm in a relationship with you all, and I see exactly what you're doing to us. Tell us, as a collective of black people, let us have our own, and then y'all can do what you want with the rest. Because every time we try to integrate, every time we try to open up to everybody else, we get the short end of the stick. And again, we're getting the short end of the stick of everything that we have been doing since we've been brought to this godforsaken country.
Okay, brother. You're talking in vague generalities. I asked you how, and you haven't said anything yet. I'll give you one last try to get it.
I'm going to tell you, give us our own land. Get complete separation from the current establishment that's called the American government. Give us our own.
Okay, sir, first of all, tell me which state, because you said do it at the local level. So that's the city level. You want all black folk in America to get in one city? I don't think so. So you must be talking about the state level. Sir, the host is talking. Calm yourself down.
I apologize.
Now.
Go ahead.
You are not going to be able to pile 40 million black folk in one city. I don't care how many rocks you smoke. So you're going to need something the size of Texas at least. And even then, that's going to be a tight squeeze. But even if you did that, you'd have to have a state. You said the local level. Well, that's city. Nah, you're going to need something the size of a state. So which state were you planning on getting white folk to voluntarily get up and leave on their own? Which state did you have in mind?
We could start with Texas.
Okay,
and
so
all the connecting states to Texas.
So you are expecting Texas.
From El Paso,
okay, sir.
From El Paso all the way up.
You're talking about Texas, Utah, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas. So you are expecting the white population, actually the entire population, white, Asian, Latino, white Latinos and Afro, Indians, Middle Easterns, everybody else. All of them are going to get up. They're going to leave Houston. They're going to leave DFW and DFW International Airport. They're going to leave Austin, Texas, that Tesla plant they're building outside of Austin. They're going to get up and leave all of that where it is and hand it over to us.
Why not?
Voluntarily.
But why not though?
Because they own multi-trillions of dollars of infrastructure there, sir. What's going to happen to the infrastructure that they've built?
Well, there's nothing else we can do because this is not going to stop.
Okay, sir, I'm going to ask. No. You're the one who suggested this screwball plan. How are you going to get these people to volunteer? They're building a semiconductor chip plant, a multi-billion-dollar semiconductor chip plant. Actually, I think one or two of them in Texas. And you're telling me that they're going to stop what they're doing. We're going to ask them politely to stop what they're doing and get up and voluntarily leave and turn it over to us. Can you please name for me any time in American history where something of that nature has occurred? Name once.
Well, don't the Indians have reservations? That's land that was turned over to them.
Okay,
and
it was, sir. First of all, you're forgetting the Trail of Tears. That's the first thing. Second of all, the reservations was part of the Western expansion. So for the most part, those were not developed states, not the way we know them now. Those were basically wildernesses. And anybody who's been to the reservations around America, be it in Texas, Kansas, Arizona, or anywhere else, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Those are not near population centers. Those are the middle of nowhere, which is why so many Native Americans died on the way there. Sir, those are in the middle of nowhere. And furthermore, they're not the size of a state. Hell, they're not the size of a city. They're the size of a national park at most. Those are not the size of a state or a city, sir. You're comparing apples to cinder blocks. In no way can you compare a reservation to a county or a state.
But Jason, we got to start somewhere, Jason. Because currently, the way we're going, the way it's looking right now, Jason, we got to start somewhere.
Yes, sir.
Right
yes,
here,
sir. You do have to start somewhere,
somewhere,
sir. But you cannot be irrational.
And you don't think what they're doing is irrational?
No, sir. I'm saying that thinking that white people who conquered this land at the barrel of the gun and hold it, maintain it, and now it's worth far more than it was, thinking that they're going to voluntarily get up and displace themselves, that's prison babble. This is beyond fantasy. This is irrationality. It would make zero sense for them to get up and abandon all these multi-trillion-dollar structures they built. That makes absolutely no rational sense. At this point, you're insulting people's intelligence by suggesting that such a thing would ever happen. That's not miraculous. That is simply irrational. Now, let me ask you a question, brother.
Anything you like.
What do you do for a living?
I drive for Uber in Las Vegas.
Okay.
Before that, I worked 15 years for them.
Well, let's start now. Let's start. Okay, you drive for Uber in Las Vegas. About how much do they pay you?
Yes.
About how much do you make driving for Uber in Las Vegas a week? About how much is that?
I average 35. I average 35 an hour. Work 10 hours a day, about $350 a day. I work 28 days. That comes to about $9,700 a month. Some months. Last January, I made $10,000 last month driving.
And you drive 10 hours a day.
10 hours a day.
28 days out of the month.
28 hours a month. Yep, that's a little bit 10,000. Or right at 10,000.
Okay, so you're saying that you take one day off every 2 weeks?
Yes, I did it when I was working for Marriott. I did the exact same thing I did for Marriott. The exact same thing I'm doing for Uber and Lyft.
Great.
The exact same thing. Nothing different.
Okay, I think that's a great template. How old are you?
49. I make 50 in April.
Congratulations. And how much in the bank do you have in savings, liquid?
I got about 33,000 in savings.
There you go.
About 33,000 in savings.
Go. And how long have you been working?
I started working at 21.
Do you have any children?
I do.
Okay. He's almost 50 years old, and after he's almost 50 years old, and after 30 years of working, he basically has been able to save up $1,000 a year.
Well, hey, I was immature. I spent a lot of money.
Right.
I went through a lot of money.
Right.
I went through a lot of money.
Right.
I did. That's on me.
Right.
That's on me.
Right. And that's the point.
I take full responsibility.
And that's the point that I'm making right there, brother, is when you actually get your arms around things and get stuff working properly, you're going to start coming up with more rational, logical answers to some of these questions. When that starts to happen, then you'll start having more practical answers to it. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Thank you very much for Uber checking in with us here. Let me get caller from area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, Jason. This is Melvina from D.C.
All right, Melvina from D.C. What's on your mind? Is this, slow down just a moment. Is this the Melvina?
No.
Okay, well, I was thinking that this, I'm pretty sure, have I seen your name before?
You might have.
Okay, I mean, I'm talking about on a regular basis. Like, have I seen your name before? Not a whole lot of Melvina.
You might have.
Not a whole lot of Melvinas out there. There's not a whole lot of them out there. So, pretty sure I know who you are. What's on your mind?
Does my voice sound familiar?
No, the name. There's not too many Melvinas out there.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I just have a question for you. So is this sudden outpouring of immigrants in America their solution to the upcoming browning of America by the year 2040? Is this their so-called solution?
Pretty much here, what it does is it serves several purposes. There is one immediate purpose that it serves. It serves the purpose of displacing us now, the only people with a legitimate grievance against the society, the only people who have a long-standing history and a long-standing practice of dismantling white supremacy. We are the only group that has been consistently reliable at undermining and attacking white supremacy. So basically, when you take a look at it like that, you basically have an incentive to bring anybody except us. Because everybody else, we're the only people looking to dismantle the system. Everybody else is just looking to plug in. We're the only people who, when we get in charge, we start talking about fundamentally changing it and displacing it. When we get in charge, when we get in control, we start saying things like Chocolate City. We start saying things like Marion Barry. When we get in charge, Atlanta, the Black Mecca, then Chicago following it. When we get in charge, white supremacy starts taking it on the chin. So you have an incentive to get anybody except us because they have a long-standing tradition of assimilating and looking at the dominant society and saying, how can we be like you? There is a reason why the Nazis, I got to bring it back to that again. There's a reason why the Nazis found a safe haven outside of Germany in South and Central America. The Nazis found safe haven in Asia. Hell, the Nazis found safe haven in North America. There's only one place that it didn't find safe haven among us. Now, we're the only people that blatant pure white supremacy has never been able to find a safe haven. They've never been able to get us to look up to them and groupie up. Everybody else has a history of assimilating with it and going along with it and saying, hey, boss, how can I help you? We ain't talking about a few coons here or there. We're talking about the whole society is on board with it to the point that basically South America and Central America were the retirement homes for the Nazis. Not in Germany, not in Hungary, not in Austria, on the other side of the world. Not among Aryans, not among Anglo-Saxons. So just understand these other folks have a history of reassuring the dominant society what side they're going to fall down on. We're the only people who have fought it and resisted. Therefore, we're the only ones you have to attack. If you can neutralize us, these other folk are basically going to get with the program. They're basically going to go along. Basically. Yeah, genetically speaking, you're going to see some grouping up going on there and whatnot. But you leave them alone and eventually it's going to turn into a Jennifer Lopez situation. Eventually, that's what it's going to be. Because they want to buy in because where they come from already, there's already colorism where they come from. Where they come from, they already favor the lighter skinned or the ones who can pass for Anglo. They already favor that where they come from. So therefore, it's a very easy transition when they get here. They already know the rules. They already know the rules. So yeah, this is part and parcel of the strategy, short term and long term. But now you understand the underlying reason why this is the go-to thing for it. And the reason why they're not worried is because ultimately they control the economy. As I explained here last week, if you're going to bring in a bunch of folk here who are not even citizens and tell them they can be police officers, well, what are you doing? Essentially, at any time, you can get up and boot them the hell out. They're not citizens. You're giving them authority and giving them a job, but at the end of the day, they're glorified security guards. If they ever do get too much out of control, you can go round them up and boot them. They're not actually citizens. So these folk are thinking deep evil. They're not just thinking evil right now. They're thinking deep evil. Because as far as they are concerned, this is an existential threat. Right here, right now, unlike any other point in white history, this is an existential threat. What happens in the next, they're talking about white folk not being the majority by 2050. That's 30 years. Now, I don't think that number is actually correct, but the bottom line is, certainly within the next 100 years, they're staring down the barrel of it. So they're like, hey, we can't wait 30 more years to put all the pieces in place. We got to put it in place now. What does it look like? If you saw my film Race War, you already know what it looks like. Richard Spencer said it. He simply confirmed what I've been telling you since day one. It was very obvious to me. Hey, as long as they control the economy, they don't give a damn who the population is. Well, Jason, can you show me an example of that? Absolutely. Apartheid South Africa. Hell, South Africa today, where white people are 10% of the population, 90% of the wealth, and guess who runs South Africa? And we can start naming a bunch of other countries over there too. You can start naming a bunch of places over here in America. Yeah, they're outnumbered, but they don't have the majority of the population. They got the majority of the dollars. So as long as they control the population and control the dollars, everybody else are just their servants. This is the reason why it is so essential to have generational wealth.
Yes.
Because generational wealth ensures that you will pass down control.
Right.
So that even when your children are dealing with lesser numbers of themselves, they still got control. Because they still have they don't have the majority of the babies, but they got the majority of the dollars. So essentially, as Dr. Claude Anderson told us, at this point now, the goal is to simply freeze everything in place, maintain the status quo, and let there never be any more changes. That's the goal. That's the goal. And they're trying to lock that in now. So to us, these are a bunch of radical changes, but you know the old saying, desperate times call for desperate measures. Desperate times call for desperate measures. You no longer really want a bunch of native-born Americans really being in your police departments, because you see, black folk have had decades now to make white supremacy a dirty word in their minds. So now you need people who don't have a connection to us for the last 80, 90, 100, 150 years. Individuals who are not going to be so quick to feel any shame, guilt, reservation, or anything else practicing white supremacy. They'll be much more reliable. They'll be much more reliable.
Oh.
These are individuals where they come from. It ain't a bunch of black dudes at the high school and the colleges laying up with their daughters, not sexually experimenting with the black dudes at the high schools and the colleges. Not where they come from. This is still a foreign concept to them. This is a foreign concept to them. So you don't have to teach them white supremacy, just like they did in Los Angeles when they started recruiting police officers from the South and bringing them out there. Go see the documentary Bastards of the Party. If you all want documentation on that, go see the documentary. Look up the documentary Bastards of the Party about the Black Panthers. In Los Angeles, they went down south advertising for police officers because they understood that Billy Bob and the boys, they knew what kind of policing that LA was going to want. You don't have to tell them who the quote enemy is. They already know. They already know. So now you're just seeing the next evolution of it. As soon as they come here and stuff, what do? They click up, they tribalism up, and the first thing they do is start targeting us. They don't even they don't target the dominant society. They don't target Asians. They only target us. That's not an anomaly, and it's not a mistake.
Wow.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Folks, this is called strategy. Strategy is multi-layered. Strategy requires redundancies. Strategy requires the ability to anticipate what your opposition is going to do so that you don't just put in one roadblock, you put in multiple roadblocks because you understand that at any point they're going to try to turn. You got to try to anticipate at what point they're going to hit an obstacle, and when they hit that first obstacle, what are they going to do next? They're not going to just sit there. They're going to turn around and move in another direction. So you got to have another obstacle in place waiting. But the real thing is you can't wait for them to get into position. You're going to have to maneuver the chessboard in such a way that the chessboard becomes a hostile environment to them. This isn't a chessboard where you move the pieces around, folks. Imagine a chessboard with landmines on it. Imagine a chessboard that can grow a fist and swing it at you. Imagine a chessboard that grows a leg and a foot and kicks your piece off the board. That's the game we playing here. That's the game. Shout out in the super chat to DL Moore. Thank you very much for your contribution. B1 Cousin Directs, we appreciate your support. Big shout out to Cult Like Personality on deck. Let me get caller from area code 910. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Brother Jason, this is Max Lamb calling from Eastern North Carolina.
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
Okay, I listened to your broadcast, brother, and I understand the check over land situation, your perspective. But this is what I'm saying to you. Las Vegas was built in the middle of a desert. Okay, as far as we're concerned, your multiple broadcasts have been over infiltration of black-owned areas within a city, which we have no resources in. I'm telling you, and my point I want to get across to you is that the land is more important than the check. We have been known to generate money based off... Yes, sir.
Your example actually proves me right, sir. The example of Los Angeles actually proves me right and you dead wrong. And you don't know it. This is the part that's scary. Sir, you just made a fallacy. You said Las Vegas was built in the middle of a desert. Wrong! Las Vegas was built with millions upon millions of mafia dollars. It was just a minor. It was just a minor stop in the middle of the desert. I think GIs like to go out there, brother. Vegas didn't come out of nowhere. Vegas was built with. Look at Bugsy Siegel. He got himself killed for it. Vegas was built with millions and millions of dollars. He didn't go out there and say, hey, this would be nice. Let me get together some investors. He had the money when he went out there. He said, hey, y'all, I found a spot. If y'all can drop me them dollars, we can build this up, sir. You're proving my point, and what you just said is irrational. You just disproved your own point and proved ours. Cut the check. Bugsy Siegel told Bugsy Siegel told the Columbos and everybody else out there, cut the check. And they did.
Brother Jason, there's no greater show than the NFL, the NBA, or any black-owned athlete that presents itself. We have to have a centralization of what we have. We generate our own money from what we have, because we don't have no resources. The only resources that we have is us, and we can generate billion, trillion-dollar industries just off of our just off of our athletic
Yes, sir, but
ability
in
alone,
a
there is the
modern
attraction.
environment, you need to have venture capital in a modern environment. You can't just set up a basketball goal and here we go. Ice Cube didn't do that,
Yes, you
sir.
can. The Rucker. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Only thing we need to do is own the platform, on the basis of it. We have to centralize that, brother.
Sir,
Jason.
you have to own it. You have
There's
to
no
make
bigger attraction.
Sir, calm yourself down. You have to own it. You have to be able to make it the same quality that people are accustomed to, and you must have the resources to market it.
But we need the land first, though.
Sir, we
can
already
do
got.
that. Everybody else
Okay,
is marketing
sir,
off of
sir.
us already.
Okay, sir. Listen to the foolishness for just a moment here. Ask yourself a question. Do the NFL teams own their stadiums?
No, they do not, sir.
Do the NBA teams own their arenas?
No, they do not, sir.
You don't have a point. You named the NFL and the NBA, and by the way, you didn't think this through. You don't actually have a point, sir. You reinforced my point. That's what I keep telling you. The more you talk, the more you reinforce my point. The very people you're holding up as an example did not do what you're saying.
If we own the land,
the NBA teams don't,
got the
sir, the NBA teams that you just invoked own neither the arenas nor the land on which they play.
That's what I'm saying. If we own the land, then by default, everything else falls to us.
Sir, you have to have
by default.
No, sir, you have to have a viable.
If we own the
sir,
land,
you have to have a viable enterprise to invest in. At that point, the land becomes tertiary.
There's different. I farm. Okay.
There you go.
I own land. Okay. I can cultivate. If I let
No,
the
you
land
can't.
sit there, it does me no good. It does me no good. But if I cultivate that land, I can sell produce. If I own the land and I got the talent, or we own the talent, therefore we can cultivate a product that can be sold.
Okay, but what you can't do is turn it into a multi-million-dollar concern. That you can't do without investment. You can grow rutabagas.
That is correct.
You can grow rutabagas, but you can't build Vegas, sir.
But you understand what I'm saying, though. As long as we own the base, everything has a base.
Sir,
Any
the base
chemical that
doesn't
they
matter.
build, any
Sir,
product
the
that they
base,
build,
sir, by
it
definition,
has
the
a
base
base.
doesn't
If you own that
matter.
resource.
Sir, the base doesn't matter as much as the investment does, because the most important property isn't real estate. Actually, the most profitable property today is intellectual property. You're way behind. Sir, you're way okay, sir. I'm sure you mean well, but this type of unsophisticated knowledge of the subject is what hurts us here, sir. This is unsophisticated. This isn't the way that it works. Every example you keep giving, I'm showing you where you're wrong about it. I'm giving you concrete examples that show that that's not true. It just isn't. All these folks out here talking about they got farms, and farms are great, wonderful things. But, sir, you're not going to be able to build Vegas out of a farm. That's not the way it works. What makes a farm profitable isn't what makes pretty much anything else profitable. If you don't have the capital, nothing's going to happen. You can have all the land in the world. We got plenty of places in America now that got hundreds of acres to be bought. But if you don't have the money to develop it, it's called wasteland.
Okay, so with the same theory, the same principle that you're using, China been spying on America with hot air balloons. Not $15 billion jets, hot air balloons. You see what I'm saying? It's going back to your resource. Sometimes the only way you can fight, technology is with anti-technology. Do you understand that principle? That is simple. That is simple. Everything, whatever is created in this world, has a base element, has a base it has a base. If you own land and you can find, yes, you are right. You're gonna have to find investors, but who will invest in something that's already proven? We built this country. How you not going to invest in something that's already proven? Black Americans have built this country. We're a multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry. How can you not invest in something that is already proven when all that you need is the stadium?
Brother.
All that you need is the
Brother.
land. The owners
Brother.
pay to the landowner.
Sir, how much does building a modern sports stadium cost?
Here we go back to what you said, investors, right?
Okay, sir, second time.
Am I correct?
Sir, second time. How much does building a modern sports stadium cost?
I'm an electrician, so I'm gonna dig deep on this one. We're gonna talk about let's say at least about 250 million.
Try a billion.
Maybe a billion.
Yes, sir. Try a billion.
As black Americans, are we not the what was it? The sixth largest economy in the world?
Sir, try $1 billion.
Well, it's going
that's the start, sir. Now, where is that $1 billion going to come from?
Well, like you said, we're back to the cash issue again.
Thank you. So all the land is worthless. If you have the money, you can get land. If you have the land, you can't necessarily get money.
But if you can have all the money in the world,
brother, how old are you, brother? How old?
You're only a consumer,
brother. How old are you?
42, Mr. Jason. Okay. 42, Mr. Jason.
How long have you lived there in the Carolinas, brother? How long have you lived there?
I grew up here my life, but I've been down in Atlanta. Had a better business venture down there in Atlanta.
Right.
I was exposed to clientele and
brother,
money
okay.
that I couldn't get
here. Here's what you need.
And,
here's what you need to do. Instead of this pipe dreaming and trying to make it about we get land. The land is worthless if you don't have money. If you got money before you get land, you're cooking with gas. If you got land and no money, you're pipe dreaming. Talk to a banker. Don't talk to me. Talk to a banker, a CPA, or a lawyer. And they'll get you up to speed in the 21st century rather quickly. What you're saying makes sense to you, but what you're saying doesn't actually make any practical sense. It's not something you can actually do. That's the point. Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, y'all, I mean, you got to have the land. What about the NBA? This is why you have to think these things over. Notice I didn't have to go on a long lecture about it. One sentence, booms, knocked out like Bruce Lee. It's not hard, folks. Let me get caller from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Tomcat from Chicago.
Tomcat from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was prompted to call because of my guest super chat statements when you had the Buford on. And me, I am SYSBM. Let me put that out front. And I'm also conservative. So, and I live in Chicago, and I've seen what the Democratic Party.
Okay, before you go any further here, you say you are a conservative. So before you go any further, so that we may have a common frame of reference.
Yeah, conservative, not Republican, but conservative.
Okay, sir. Before you go any further, you say you are a conservative, so that we may have a common frame of reference.
Yeah, I'll explain.
Okay, so that we may have a common frame of reference. What exactly is it about America that you as a black person are trying to conserve?
Well, whatever we get, just like you just had that discussion with that gentleman.
Okay, sir, that's not a whatever.
I think
that's not a whatever, sir. Just go ahead and name for me specifically what it is. No explanation. Just name what it is about America that you wish to conserve.
I wish that we would conserve our ideals and our patents.
Okay,
we
sir. No,
created
no, no,
for
no, no,
this
no, no, no,
country.
no, no. You said that you are a conservative. Understood. Third
I
time.
don't want to pay taxes. I don't
What?
want to pay
No, no, no,
taxes. I don't
sir.
want to pay taxes.
What is it about America's history and current status that you wish to conserve as a black person? To conserve means that you want to preserve something that's already there. So what is it about America that you've seen that you wish to conserve as a black person?
Well, being SYSBM, I'm conserving my money. I don't want to pay for a lot of shit that's going on in America.
Okay, sir, you're not
And I see the black
you're not
community-
answering the question. So you and the English language are apparently not getting along with each other very well. What is it about American
Okay, well,
society you wish to conserve, sir? If you're going to call yourself a conservative, what is it in this society you wish to conserve? Money is a medium of exchange. What is it about America you're trying to hold on to?
Well,
Silence.
if I would be able to explain it, I would say that basically with living in Illinois and with the taxes, the money that I make, I'm a trucker, and I make well over $75,000.
Okay, but
a
sir,
year.
that's not American society. You talking about your little penny in the ass job. You don't understand things very well, so you call yourself a conservative, and you literally don't know what a conservative is. And
yeah, well,
that
conservative
alone,
to me means,
that
conservative to
alone,
me
no, it doesn't. No, no, it's not.
conserving
You don't
my
have your
money
own pet
and
definition.
conserving,
No, sir. No, sir. You don't
everything
have
the
your own
black
pet
community,
definition.
which we are not
No,
doing
sir.
with
You
the
do not
Democratic
have your
Party.
own
And I
pet
think you're
definition. Sir,
duplicitous
calm
towards-
yourself down. You do not have your own pet definition of conservative. This is not like when your mama was sitting there and dudes was running through on the block and she was saying, well, I ain't a hoe. I am an in-house healthcare worker. No, sir. Conservative has a definition in the dictionary that you can look up. If you do not subscribe to that definition, then you are not a conservative. You're a lackey, you're a junkie, you're something else, but you're not a conservative. You were asked several times, what is it you're trying to conserve? Thank you, Dr. Claude Anderson. And you can't tell anybody what you want to conserve. I want to keep my money. That's not a part of American society that you wish to conserve. I like my job. That's not a part of American society that you wish to conserve. But thank you for showing everyone the lack of mental aptitude and intellect that you have to possess to say the things you say. I think between you and the previous caller and whatnot, this pretty much illustrates to everybody exactly what the issue is. By the way, are you one of these Black Fox News viewers? Are you one of them?
Do I get the answer?
Yeah, are you one of these Black Fox News viewers, one of these Black Sean Hannity people? Because you sound like it. You sound like it.
Not the least, brother. But I will say this: the thing about it is, being in Chicago and being a political junkie and watching us put our head in the sand and vote one faction all the time, not calling the lob or audible or a different play, is going to cause us to be passed over.
How old are you, brother? How old
the
are
black
you?
community is. How old am I?
Yes, how old are you?
I'll be 59 next week.
Sounds about right.
But I look 30-something because I don't smoke or drink.
But you talk 90-something, so it kind of balanced itself out.
I talk what?
You talk like you're 90-something fresh off the plantation, so it kind of balances itself out.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm a traditionalist.
Yeah, according to you, that's an even bigger word, and I doubt you know the definition of that one too. You just kind of throw words out there. You might want to consult Google or a dictionary so that you can know what these words mean before you vomit them out.
I'll consult Thomas Sowell and other great thinkers, because the thing about it is if black people want handouts and want basically, not to mention the mayor here in Chicago, the black women they put her in. So I never hear you get on them or really grill them about their opposition towards, the black family and, selling us out with welfare and stuff. I never really hear you say anything to them because that's most of your audience, of course. But, I get it. You got to get your money. You funny, man.
Yeah, brother. I mean, I'm so glad you've taken out time from pushing shopping carts down there at Albertsons and saying hello to Miss Ann. I'm so glad you've taken out a few minutes to go ahead and call us in between shining shoes at O'Hare International Airport. I'm very glad you took a few minutes. I'm very glad you took a few minutes off from shining shoes at the airport so you could go ahead and give us a call. And I hope your back. I hope your back don't weigh. I hope your back doesn't go out.
I wear gaiters and ostrich.
I hope your back doesn't go out. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Like I say, folks, that says it all. That says it all. I listen to the great Thomas. So some of you out there, some of you slow bus people, some of you remedial individuals, Jason, you being mean, you being insulting, you accusing. How you know that man listen to Fox News? That's what the slow bus kids and the lead pipe babies would have said. You being mean. How you know he listened to Fox News? I said, you sound like a Fox News, and specifically a Sean Hannity listener. You notice I said that. I said, you sound like a Fox News viewer, specifically a Sean Hannity listener. You sound like one of them. Next thing you know, he names Sean Hannity's favorite house Negro, Thomas Sowell. Did I call it or did I call it? Did I call it or did I call it? Just let him talk long enough. Let him talk long enough, and eventually he's going to say it. Let him speak long enough, and eventually what he really wants to say is going, well, really, next thing up was, what about black on black crime? We is our own worst enemies. Y'all know that was next up, right? Y'all know that was next up, right? We is our own worst enemies. Trump wasn't so bad. Well, they need to lock them niggas up. They need to lock them up. That was coming next, right? Trump wasn't so bad. They need to build more prisons. Y'all remember in 2020 with Joe Biden. Remember, that's what the folks who were defending Joe Biden were saying. Remember a bunch of old niggas called up that night. Well, Jason, what it really is, they a lot of them fellas, they need to be in jail. They need to build more prisons. A bunch of them needed to be locked up, Jason. You know it. Did I call it or did I call it? Caller from area code 725. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, this is Sean from Vegas.
All right, Sean from Vegas, what's on your mind?
So, a lot of people, I'm from Vegas, and a lot of people, when they talk about, the foundings of Vegas and like where something like this North Las Vegas and that proposed bill will come from. Real quick, North Las Vegas got a black mayor, female. She was raised here, born here. She even spoke in an interview, remember, when North Las Vegas and West Las Vegas was all black. That was a recent interview. And now, I've emailed her. I've emailed every House member, every Senate member out here to let them know, nah, we're not trying to have that. But what a lot of people fail to realize, if you know anything about Mormons, everybody talk about the mafia. But they forget the Mormons was here way before the mafia came out here. All this casino money came from northern Nevada, which is Reno. So a lot of these casinos you see in Vegas and stuff, they were starting in Reno first. And also mining. If you've never been to Northern Nevada, driven through the state of Nevada, you don't understand that it's a mining state. So you got a lot of these old white folks, old Mormons, who own hundreds and hundreds of acres, hectares, which is 640. I used to be a wildland fireman, and I used to see 4 houses in a whole valley the size of Vegas that you could see, and them 4 houses own all the property. But they're mining these minerals out here. So you got this Mormon money, you got this mineral money. And if you don't know how Mormons feel about blacks, then you have no clue of the underpinnings. What they call Nevada is the Mississippi of the West. You don't understand why that is. You don't understand how that functions and how that operates.
Well,
so
you're right. I mean, there's a lot of money out there in a lot of different areas. Once it got cultivated, once it got kicked off, I mean, you can't. Once one big industry moves in, other folks start coming in to say, hey, especially if you have a viable population, they start saying, hey, is there other things we can get? Because typically speaking, if you're going to do a mine, you're going to have people who live there. Setting up mining towns is an expensive venture. It's a whole lot better if you have a population you can draw from. So certainly it's not just set on one thing, but when you start talking about Vegas and the Strip and the casinos and things, that's the land the mafia built. If you don't have the money walking in, you're not going to get anything done. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from? Okay, caller from 773 has been abducted. Caller from area code 559. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Name, No Pets, calling from California, Central Valley.
Okay, you say no touch?
No Pets.
Okay, no tips, and where are you calling from, sir?
No Pets.
Okay, no pets. Where are you calling from?
Central, yes, sir.
Okay,
Central Valley, California.
Let's try that again. Where are you calling from, sir?
Fresno, California.
All right, what's on your mind?
Well, the dude that was talking, maybe two guys over, he was saying something about basically Thomas Sowell, and you're not talking enough about other issues, but it's really this issue that's the biggest issue, because I work in education. I see it in the school all the time. Kids are just put into classrooms. They don't even speak English. I see it all over the place. But if people are still stuck, I just want to say this. It is not a coalition that we have with any of these groups, because when you go and apply for a job, you go to apply for college, you go to apply for housing, they have that box in that corner. What color is your skin? They're not playing. Ask yourself, why is that even there? Why are they still asking about race? And that's all I got to say.
It's all part of the plan. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller from area code 513. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's all part of the plan. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me get caller from area code 513.
Caller from area code 513 is listening to the wrong things. So life's going to suck for him there for a moment there. All right. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. I want to thank y'all for showing the love. T. Turner, thank you very much. B1 Media is a lifesaver. Happy birthday, brother. You always been on deck. You always been dependable, reliable. We appreciate that. Thank you very much for your support, brother. I appreciate that. And to everyone else who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, thank you very much for your support here. The purpose of us having the Black Channel here is because you need to have a media apparatus where we talk about these things, something that's not controlled by a political party, something that is squarely in the interest of Black people, something that deals in practical discussions, not fantasy talk. So this is a whole nother level of effectiveness. But as Black people, you can't have anything if you don't actually understand the situation that you're up against. So you've heard about a lot of things, but did you hear that this was going on and specifically where it's going on? You can't just say it in some vague general term, ooh, they bringing folks over here. You got to know exactly where they at, what the numbers are, because the more you know where they're at and the numbers are, you can wrap your head and your arms around the situation and what to do about it. Having reliable information is critical and key. I've tried to do my part. Now, you do yours. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, BlackChannelFilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to BlackChannelFilms.com. That is BlackChannelFilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in here tonight. I want to thank all of you for contributing on PayPal, Cash App, or Super Chat. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from all around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.